Ambassador 6 stood before the Galactic Council, his crystalline form pulsating with urgent bioluminescence. The vast chamber, carved from a hollowed moon, held representatives from 300 species, yet none seemed interested in his warning. "I implore you to reconsider," 6 transmitted through the universal translator. "The species called humans should not be granted membership. My people encountered them at the border of Sector 7. They are different." Council Prime Veltus, a towering Krell with 6 eyes and ceremonial armor, waved a dismissive claw. "Your species said the same about the Dravians, the Matok, and the Hiveborn. Yet all have proven to be valuable members. Humans passed every standard test. Their technology is adequate, their diplomacy acceptable. What is your specific concern?" 6 light flickered with distress. "They do not stop. That is my concern. We observe their history. They should have destroyed themselves 1,000 times over. Wars, plagues, natural disasters that would have ended any civilization. Yet each time they adapted. They survived. They grew stronger." "That sounds like resilience," Veltus replied. "A positive trait." "You misunderstand," 6 pressed. "When my people face extinction-level threats, we accept our fate with dignity. When the Krell face impossible odds, you retreat to fight another day. When the synthetic collective calculates 0 probability of success, they abort the mission. Humans? They redefine what impossible means." The council chamber erupted in amused chirps, clicks, and electromagnetic bursts, the galactic equivalent of laughter. Even Veltus seemed entertained. "You fear them because they are stubborn? I fear them because they are relentless," 6 corrected. "They have a saying, 'Hold my beer.' It precedes their most dangerous decisions." The council voted. Humanity was welcomed into the galactic community with overwhelming support. 6 warning was filed away as xenophobic paranoia. 5 years later, the Kryn swarm arrived. The swarm had consumed 17 galaxies. Billions of hive ships, each the size of a moon, moved through space like locusts. They didn't conquer, they consumed. Every molecule of biological and technological matter was absorbed, converted, and integrated into the collective. The Galactic Council's military forces engaged them at the threshold gates, the last line of defense. It was a massacre. Krell battlecruisers, which had dominated space warfare for millennia, were torn apart in minutes. The synthetic collective's probability matrices calculated a 99.97% chance of total galactic extinction within 2 standard years. Evacuation protocols began. The Council prepared to abandon the galaxy. Then humanity responded. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UNSC Indomitable, humanity's flagship, a vessel that most alien species considered primitive. She watched the live feed of the swarm devouring the 3rd Defensive Fleet. "Ma'am, the Council has ordered all species to retreat to the emergency jump gates," her communications officer reported. "Acknowledged," Chen replied calmly. "Send a message to all human vessels. Red Protocol is authorized." Her first officer, Commander Zhang, hesitated. "Ma'am, Red Protocol has never been tested at this scale. The casualties could be everyone if we run," Chen interrupted. "Humans don't run when someone needs help. Send the order." Across human space, every available ship received the transmission. Military vessels, cargo haulers, colony transports, even civilian yachts. 40,000 ships answered the call. They came armed with weapons that made Council members uncomfortable. Nuclear warheads, kinetic bombardment platforms, chemical weapons, biological agents, and experimental technologies that violated a dozen treaties. Humanity had signed those treaties. They simply chose to break them. The human fleet arrived at the threshold gates not in formation, but in a chaotic wave. Council observers were horrified. This wasn't military strategy. It was barely organized chaos. Then they understood. Human vessels didn't engage the swarm conventionally. They rammed hive ships at relativistic speeds, turning themselves into kinetic missiles. They detonated nuclear devices inside their own hulls to create localized EMPs. They released experimental nanoplagues that the swarm absorbed, then suffered as the nanites rewrote their genetic code. One cargo ship, the Mumbai Express, was damaged beyond repair. Its captain, a woman named Priya Sharma, broadcast on all frequencies. "If you're listening, remember we were here. Tell them humans don't quit." She piloted her dying ship into the swarm's command nexus, her reactor overloading on impact. The explosion vaporized 300 hive ships. The swarm adapted as it always did. But humans adapted faster. When kinetic strikes failed, they used gravity wells. When gravity wells were neutralized, they ignited stars to create supernovas. When the swarm learned to predict their tactics, human commanders made decisions so irrational, so statistically improbable, that no calculation could anticipate them. Admiral Chen herself led the final assault. The Indomitable, barely held together by emergency repairs, punched through the swarm's center. In her final transmission to the Council, she said, "Tell Zixthor he was right. We don't know when to quit. That's exactly why we'll win." The Indomitable's experimental gravity drive collapsed, creating a temporary black hole that consumed the swarm's primary consciousness. Without coordination, the hive ships became mindless, easily destroyed by the rallying galactic forces. Humanity lost 38,000 ships, 2 million personnel. Earth itself was scarred by debris. But the galaxy survived. In the council chambers, now relocated to a temporary station, Ambassador Zixthor addressed a silent assembly. "I warned you about humans," he said quietly. "I told you they do not stop. What I failed to mention is that they do not stop fighting for others either. They do not calculate acceptable losses and retreat. They calculate how to win, and they pay whatever price victory demands." Council Prime Veltus, his armor scorched from battle, nodded slowly. "You tried to warn us they were dangerous." "No," Zixthor corrected, his light pulsing with something that might have been respect. "I tried to warn you that they were terrifying. There is a difference. Dangerous can be controlled, terrifying cannot be stopped." He paused, then added, "The galaxy was warned about humans. We should have listened. Not to fear them, but to be grateful they chose to stand with us rather than against us." In the ruins of the threshold gates, a damaged buoy still transmitted Admiral Chen's final words on repeat. "We don't know when to quit." The galaxy finally understood. That wasn't a flaw. It was humanity's greatest strength.